Hey, everybody. Hope you are having a fantastic Tuesday, November 15th, 2022. We're only going to get one, so we'll make it a good one. My name is Dave, and joining me soon will be Steve Edwards. Right before we went live, we had some issues with his internet connection, and it was getting pretty fuzzy. So I said, Steve, I think the people are going to appreciate us taking time to restart your internet. He says, all right, well, I'll do that. I said, I'll get things started. You hop in as soon as that internet gets restarted, and then we'll go. So we are getting things started today, and if this is your first time ever hanging out with us, I want to say welcome. We are so glad that you are here. Again, my name is Dave. Steve will be joining us shortly, and every week we get together to talk about mules and donkeys, answering any and every question that you've got. And when we talk about any and every question, we mean any and every question that you've got. Why? Because we want you to gain the trust of your animal and get results. Now, we're coming upon a time here where it's going to be colder. We're coming upon a time here where maybe we're not going to be riding as much. Now, if you're out here in Arizona, maybe you're going to be riding more. But we are coming upon a time where you're probably wondering, how do I not lose all of the progress that I've been making with old Fluffy here over these last 8 to 9 months? And I want to tell you that we got an answer for that. In the coming days, I'm going to be sending out our first invite to our next webinar, which is all about training without a mule saddle. It's coming up November 29th, and I actually have a link right here for y'all to sign up right here in the comments section. Sign up now. So whether you're watching on Facebook or whether you're watching on YouTube, you can sign up to get your invitation to this very special event. Now, these Tuesday events, these are free. And this November 29th one will be free too. But this one you don't have to sign up for. The November 29th, you do have to sign up for. So go ahead, click that link, get signed up. I'll be sending out an official invite to our email list in the next couple days. But for the time being, we are so glad that you're here. And really, the only things that we ask of you are these three things. First, put your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like in the comments section. That's the first thing we need. That's the first thing that we want, because we'd love to know that you are here with us. We love spending time with you. We love hearing what's going on with you. So your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like. The second thing that we ask is that you ask any and every mule or donkey question that you've got. If you've got the question, somebody else probably has the question. And if somebody else has the question, there's a good chance they might ask it. So we need you to step up and be the one to ask it. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing we ask is that you share the broadcast with friends or family. And the way you do that is very easy. So easy that I'm going to tell you, you can follow my instructions right now, step by step. If you're on YouTube, click the like button, click the subscribe button, and click the share button. That's all you got to do. And when you click that share button, you can share it via text, you can share it via email, you can share it to another social media. Do one of those things right there. We want you to share it. We want you to let other folks know this best kept secret in the equine world, and that is the Tuesday Q&A with Mr. Steve Edwards. If you are on Facebook, it's very, very simple. All you got to do is click the share button and then send it to your feed. Or you can tag a friend or family member in the comment section and they'll get a link. Mr. Steve Edwards is here. It's still a little bit blurry. We'll see if we can make it work today, though. Sound good, Steve?
Sounds good. I don't know what's going on. This here stuff just drives me crazy.
This is the age of technology. And you know what I say? The future is human. The future is not this AI technology type stuff. The future is human. And when we announce we got to look at the dates, but when we announce our next dates out at Queen Valley Mule Ranch, we want you there because the future, my friends, is human. We want to see you in real life, 3D, all the things. Hey, I want to say hello to Cowboy Ken, who's watching from Connecticut, where it's cloudy and 38 degrees. We want to say hello to Laura in Tennessee signing in. We just had a blacksmith visit, and it is cold, wet, and uncomfortable today. I am glad to be in for the night now. Hey, we're glad you're in for the night, spending a little bit of time with us there, Laura. David Pengelly says it's rainy and cooling down. Candy says Indiana and chilly. Nuff said, Candy. Mary is watching, 33 degrees in northwestern Illinois. Brian is watching. Oh. Kay is using Brian's account. Kay, does Brian know? Says watching from Newcastle. Oh, Mindy says southwestern Ohio, cold, gray drizzle, expecting snow. Mary from northwestern Illinois, 33 degrees, light snow. Todd Packer, Bluffdale, Utah. That's the first time I've heard of that one. 36 degrees and sunny. Barbara from Sullivan, Missouri. Cold and snowy where it is 32 degrees. We've got Dave O'Brien from East Texas chiming in from a cold and wet 44-degree temperature. Folks, would love to have you share your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like. We're going to get started here. We're going to ask our first question of the day. This one comes in here from Catherine. Catherine messaged from over on Facebook and said, my mule is only 13 hands and has a smaller mouth than what I would imagine would be a standard, smaller mouth than what I would imagine would be a standard sized mule. I measured for a bit. He's only 4 or 4.5 inches. Would the 5-inch work for him? Steve, what would you have to say here to Catherine?
Actually, looking over to my right here is a mule that I ride. He's 13.2. And when I'm working cattle on him, I use my Mule Rider's Martingale, which is a 6-inch bit. Okay, folks, when it comes down to these mules, you got to remember that their bone structure is the donkey. So you don't fit them, especially with bits too. You don't fit them with that normal horse thinking. Yes, we'll take a string, we'll put it in their mouth, and we'll come up with 5 inches. If I had my druthers, I'd like to have a 1/4 inch on each side. Now, my finish bit, which is my trail rider bit, if the smallest I make is a 5. So when you put that string through their mouth and you measure it, if it says 4.5, then you could put a 5-inch bit in there. I'm gonna get my come along coffee.
All right. Steve's going to get his come along coffee. If you got a question, go ahead and put it in the comment section there. We'd love to get that for you. We've got Virginia watching from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Beautiful and chilly day today. Heather is watching from Vail, Arizona. Hey, beautiful 65 degrees and sunny. Vail, Arizona. That's down there where the Andrada Ranch is at. James has a question, says, hello. What is your advice on getting a 3-year-old gelding to load willingly in the open stock trailer? He has not been trailered with a buddy, doesn't want to go solo. He has been trailered about 6 times, but doesn't want to leave others when time to go. Thanks. What would you have to say to James, Steve?
And number one, the reason he doesn't want to leave others is because he's an equine. They like being together. They feel more comfortable. Equine being the bottom of the food chain. His other buddies around texting him more on. He doesn't really leave. So having an open stock trailer, that's wonderful. 2-horse trailers are horrible. So I have a video, Dave, that we could probably link him to that's called trailer loading. And it was a tough mule. It took like 5 guys to get this mule in one day. When I did this video, actually, Dave and I went out and did this video. I had actually cut my pointer finger on the right-hand side, and I had shoved a knife clear through it. Yeah, you don't want to hear that. Anyway, so I was wearing a glove, and I was actually one-handed trying to train this mule to load up. So did I finally get it done? Yep, we got it done. And then as you can see at the end of the video, this mule can't wait to jump in the trailer as soon as I point him toward it. Just the usual things. do, get behind them and try to move them off. Don't try to put a rope around their hind end and get them to load up. Use that come along rope. Start doing your foundation work away from the trailer. So see me in the video, you'll see working the mule, doing all kinds of stuff. I'm not interested in putting him in the trailer until he starts getting soft with my come along. If I would have had a tarp there, I could have laid the tarp down and crossed the tarp. If I had a piece of 4x sheet of plywood to lay down and walk across it, things like that. Try to put them under stress. And as you'll see in that video, they'll load up. Folks, I cannot stress enough, forget the halters and use that come-along rope. That come-along rope is an awesome tool. It teaches them to pay attention to you all the time. Don't take it for granted that you're just taking them out of the stall and going to put a saddle on them. From A to B is the perfect place to teach them to be straight. Straight, that's what you want, straightness. You don't want them looking to the left or right. You want them to think straight. When we allow them to look to the left and right, we end up with a problem like you got here, where you can't load them in a trailer when it comes time. Yeah, we got to think straightness. And the other thing about it is got to be your timing. So when you're doing this foundational stuff, you do it away from the trailer, and it's going to be your timing. So when you start pointing them toward that trailer, do like I just told you. Don't be looking off the left and the right. Don't let them do that. Think straight ahead. Where do you start that? Start it from the corral to your hitching rail.
Awesome. Very good. Steve, do me a favor. I'm going to go ahead and tell folks about the webinar that we're doing. Go ahead, restart your computer, and then join back in. Let's see if that fixes it. We did the internet. Let's give the computer a shot. And while Steve is restarting his computer, I'm going to tell y'all about what we got coming up here on November 29th. Steve, I asked Steve, I said, hey, Steve, folks are going to be working on getting things set up for the winter. They're going to be putting their saddle up on the wall. What do folks need to be thinking about as it relates to training this winter? Because the last thing you want is to make all this progress and then go 3-4 months where it's wet and miserable and it's cold and it's dry, and then get back out and feel like all the progress we made just went by the wayside. Well, Steve said, what I want to do is I want to do an event where we teach people how to train without the saddle. And so that's what we're going to be doing on November 29th. I'm putting a link where y'all can sign up. Sign up here for the event. It's going to be free. It's going to be sent out as a replay after we get done. So if you're unable to attend live, sign up so that you can get a link to watch later on your own timeline. And we're going to talk about everything you need to know about training without a saddle during these November, December, January, February months, maybe even into March for some of y'all. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've talked a little bit about it in the last couple of weeks, but I asked Steve, I said, hey, you talked about it a little bit here on this week. We're doing an email series right now where we're telling folks about, training without a saddle. He goes, nope, I want to do a workshop on it too. So we're going to be doing that November 29th, 6 p.m. Arizona time. So that's 5 p.m. California. That's going to be 7 p.m. Central time. It's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern time, and whatever time it is for you, it's going to be a fantastic time. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's absolutely free, and like I said, even if you can't attend live, there will be a replay. You will be able to watch that. Hey, David, I see your question here about the Molly. As soon as Steve gets back, we're going to ask that. In the meantime, if you are just now tuning in, we are so glad that you're here. My name is Dave. Steve Edwards is restarting his computer to see if we can get a better signal. And when he comes back, he will still be Steve Edwards, and we get together every week to talk about mules and donkeys. Really, there's only 3 things that we ask. First and foremost is that you share your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like. We would love to hear exactly where you are watching from in this world, because we are international. We're waiting for our first international today. We would love to hear that, but more so, we'd love to know what's going on in your world. We'd love to know what's happening with you. So your name, where you're watching from, what the weather is like. Second, Any and every mule or donkey question that you've got, we'd love that you would ask that in the comment section. And then third, share the broadcast, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook. Share that broadcast. We would love to get more folks introduced to how they can gain the trust of their animal and get results. Dave has a question. He says, my Molly is currently 1 year and 8 months old. At what age will she be close to her full height?
Well, they grow till they're 7. So I've seen them take spurts. Usually by the time they're about 3 years old, they usually will have it for the most part. But I have seen them take growth spurts, and then at 7 years old, they're finally done.
Wonderful. Next question. This one comes in from Jeannie. She watched one of our videos and asked this, I think it was last week. Jeannie from Iowa. I have a 16-year-old Molly. Just got her in the spring. She came with a roller, but I just trail ride, nothing hard. Would I be better off with a Martingale Bit? She's easy, not difficult. She responds to leg commands well. I just purchased the ground foundation kit, and I'm anxious to receive that. What would you say to Jeannie?
Well, if you can ride Jeannie off of your legs, and she's got a pretty nice little back up, pretty nice stop, pretty nice go to the left and right, then call it good. Usually roller bits are usually designed for animals who are a little bit on the ant side, and the downside is they tend to play with the roller a lot, and it can get pretty frustrating on a ride. But if you can ride off your legs, then I just stick with what you got.
All right, very good. Lamar is watching. Hello, my mule friends. 39 degrees and sunny. Myra, hi, Steve and Dave. Glad to be with you here today. Sunny and cool in Southern California. Ice on the water bucket at night. Deborah is watching from Paulden, Arizona. Virginia says, hey, Dave, I sent a question on the website earlier today. Can you retrieve it? Yes, I have that question. Let me see if I've got it. Let me see if I can bring that one up here real quick. Okay, I got it right here. So, Steve, Virginia sent in a question earlier. She says, I just want you to know that if anyone poo-poos your sage advice about keeping your mule in their own stall or paddock away from other equine or goats for that matter, I can testify that it works. I got my Molly this past January and thank the heavens that I was following you and speaking with you for months before that. And with your help, I braved the horse world naysayers about the wisdom of keeping a mule out of a herd or pasture situation, and there are a lot of them out there insisting I was crazy. And my Edie now looks at me as the herd leader. Let me explain. I was out in the corral with her, no equines around, while she was on her sentry duty patrolling the perimeter of her wild New Mexico home. I fed her, and she would take a few bites, then raise her head with ears forward to check her surroundings. I walked about 10 yards in front of her and stared out at the horizon as if I were the lead mare taking over sentry duty. Sure enough, I looked back and her ears were floppy, and she was eating calmly without looking up. Success. It's been a long, patient road, but so worth it. How fun. Okay, so a question. When I take my first ride out of her corral, should I have another person riding with me? This Thanksgiving, I have so much to be thankful for. At the top of the list is you, Steve Edwards. May God bless you, Virginia. Well, how about that?
Wow.
You're going to have to get some new hats, Steve.
What a blessing. That's terrific. Thanks a lot for sharing that. You made my year, really. That's fantastic. Good for you. Okay. So should I ride it by myself? I personally do it all the time. I prefer to ride myself. Me being the herd leader would give her direction through my reins and my lines and my reins and my legs, and so that she wasn't trying to on another animal else. And so, yes, by yourself, enjoy. I'll be looking forward to hearing the end ride. Listen, folks, this is important. You got to keep them straight. Don't allow them to look to the right and to the left. They're going to tend to want to look monsters. They're going to do that. They're an equine. They're looking to protect themselves. But like she just did, and what a wonderful picture that is. The mule's looking up, see what's going on out there. Her, being the herd leader, walked out in front and kind of looked out. So looking, surveying the area. She looked back, and here's a mule going, Mom's got everything under control. We're in good shape. I'll go ahead and go back to eat. Don't worry about nothing. Perfect. Perfect. That is, what a great picture. Congratulations. So when you're going out riding, straightness. Don't allow them look to the right, left or right. If you're riding along and they look to the left, bump them to the right. They look to the right, bump them to the left. Keep them straight. If they look straight up and looking over, go right, left with your hands slowly and quietly. They'll drop their head. Like we fixed.
Yeah, it looks like it's cutting out pretty badly there, Steve.
Should I go and plug the internet again? Try it one more time.
Did you do just?
About 30 seconds.
Did you do? Do you have one or two boxes for the internet?
Just one box, and it's got both. It's got the power and the cable and everything going in the back.
That's the modem and the router?
Yeah, it's a modem and router together.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we might want to give that a try one more time and see if that works. I mean, it clears up for a few minutes and then it gets fuzzy for a few minutes. So
I'm setting it 760 on my Mbps's, but on the other on the download, but on the upload it's 3.74.
Yeah, on the upload, that's the one that's making it fuzzy and grainy. Doing the upload there. We'll see if we'll see. Try it on your. Grab your cell phone there real quick while I say hi to some other folks, and go to the speed test on your cell phone. See what that says. I'm curious. I want to see if it's a computer thing and maybe something going on with your computer, or if it's a phone thing. While Steve's doing that, I want to say hello to Jeff watching from Arkansas, where it's cloudy and in the 40s. And I want to say hi to, let's see, Mr. Australia. Hello, Steve and Dave. I'm back. Been super busy from Queensland, Australia. Mr. David Scholl. That means that we have gone international here. Finally, we've gone international. Thank you very much. Heather's got a question here, and we'll get to it as soon as Steve tells me how fast his speed is going on his phone. If y'all have a question, go ahead and put it in the comments section. I've got a few more queued up here that came in on Facebook and YouTube, and so we'll be asking that. Rory just chimed in, watching from Southwest Ohio. Late as always, cold, but snow has melted. Rory's a longtime watcher, and we sure are glad that you're here each and every week, Rory, and then watching on YouTube as well. So, Steve, did it give you a number there?
Yeah, I got 279 on the download and 0.42 on the upload.
Yeah, so it sounds like, is Susan in there streaming Netflix somewhere?
Oh, no, she's in town with the girls doing girl things.
Yeah, it may be an upload thing. So we'll see if we can keep going here. Hey, question, Steve. On the interface that you're looking at, does this have an option to turn off the camera on the computer screen?
No, share screen, hang up, and mute.
Okay. Well, let's keep going. Let's see if we can get it. We'll see if we can keep going here, get it to work. Next question. This one come in here from Daniel. I'm looking for a good mule. Do you have anything available? Thanks. And we get this question quite a bit. We don't make recommendations on animals because we haven't seen them. We have not seen them in real life. We have not seen them ride. We have not seen them drive or pack. We haven't been able to get around them and smell them and experience them. So we don't make recommendations. However, Thomas or Daniel, we may have a few things you could look for. Steve, do you have any insights to share with Daniel?
You know, Daniel, it's frustrating. I can't tell you how many people on a weekly basis contact me and are trying to find a mule. They send me pictures, they send me videos, they tell me these stories and things like this. And I tell them, I say, I'll tell you what I see. Okay, number one, when you're looking at buying mules, you buy Disposition among everything else. Number one, Disposition. I like you, Disposition. I want to get along with you, Disposition. I don't know you, but I'll get along with you, Disposition. Not the disposition that they try to portray to you. They put a kid on the mule's back, and everybody thinks, oh, well, if a kid can ride it, yeah, I can ride it. Okay. So I would, there's lots of information on the internet. There's lots of stuff that put together. We got over 440 YouTubes. And so, Dave, I don't think we're doing too good here. Are we chopping and mixing?
It breaks up and then it comes back in. We could try one more thing. If do you get cell phone service in your house there, Steve?
Yeah, cell phone right here. Yeah.
Maybe turn off your Wi-Fi and open up your email and click the link to join from your email, but turn off your Wi-Fi so it uses your Verizon signal, and unjoin here. Call in from your phone. Let's see if that does a little bit better.
Unjoin here? Okay.
Yeah, so go ahead and hang up here and see if that does a little bit better coming in. So we'll give it one more try here. Usually we've got a pretty good connection going on. It seems like it's a little bit finicky today, and that's the word of the day, folks. Finicky. Finicky. F-I-N Kinney. Okay? So go ahead, figure out a way to use the word finicky, and tell people to go check out greatwords.com. No, don't go there. I don't know what's there. This is the first time you're ever hanging out with us. We're so glad that you're here. I know we've got new folks every single week joining us. So my name is Dave. I have been around Steve Edwards for about 15 years here. So everything that I know about mules and donkeys, this man has taught me. If you asked me to go out and get in the round pen, I would not have any clue of how I should do things, but I would have a little bit of knowledge that maybe could help me get some understanding. But we asked Steve, who has the knowledge and the understanding, any and every mule or donkey question that we got so that you can gain the trust of your animals, you can get results. If you're watching for the first time, we love having you here. What we ask is that folks put their name, where they're watching from, and what the weather's like in the comment section, because we want to know you. We want to say hello to you. We believe in human-to-human interaction. We don't believe in this internet keyboard warrior thing where it's a fake person on the other end. We know that you're a real person, and we're real people too. And by golly, I hope that if we meet in person one day, that you feel like, man, exactly who they are on YouTube and Facebook is the same way they are in real life. That's the best feeling in the world. Steve's joining. Let's see if we got it here. Let's see if that winds up working. Steve. Are you there, Steve? Says it's muted. Let's see if we can get him to join here. Want to say hello to Jeff is watching. Jim from Western Maryland is watching. Myra, my Molly, is getting more responsive and relaxed. We love hearing that. Stacy is here. Spelling not your strong point. Dave. I went to the normal school. I didn't go to one of them Ivy Leaguers. I guess I just know how to work and not how to think, or maybe a little bit of both. Let's see here. Okay, Steve was there and he hung up, so let's see if he comes back here real quick. Rose is watching. We'll get this question answered here for you, Rose. Let's see, Steve. Let's see if he's there. Steve, are you there? Can you hear us? He's there. Can we get you here, Steve?
Well, I can see you sitting there.
We can see it. We can hear you. It's not move. The screen's like your video's not moving, but we can hear you. Can you hear us? Yeah, I guess it's not working too good. What a bummer. All right, we'll just keep doing this and we'll see how it goes.
Well, when I look on my phone, I can see me talking and all that stuff, but you're not doing nothing.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, I'm moving around. Yeah. I'm dancing here. Question we got that come in. It's let's see here. Heather says, my yearling mule is doing well with foundation halter work. We pony her out in the wash on occasion. How far should she go?
As well, the big thing you want to worry about with colts is them banging with their legs. Hard ground, wash is good, sandy wash. If you're out here in Arizona where there's a lot of sand, that's okay. It's just really hard to say. You always want to watch their pulse and respiration, that you're not overdoing them. Watch the flaring of their nose and this sort of thing. Um, but just you just have to do a little at a time. I've taken some of my colts, you build them up. Some days I may do 15-20 minutes, and then I'll wait a couple days. And always folks, just like the tires, air in your tires, always check their tendons, feel their knees for heat, make sure the tendons are good and firm all the way down.
Very good. All right, cruising right along. Let's see here. Stacy says, how do you evaluate for disposition? How do you evaluate for disposition?
Disposition is going to be like this. When I am outside of the corral, I'm looking at them. I put my hand out and say, come here, Fluffy, come over here. I don't do that. I just sit there. I may be talking to another person, but then the mule kind of walks up. I allow the mule to touch me first, okay, and look at me. And then when they get closer where I can scratch the side of their jaw, preferably side of their neck, then that tells me the mule really kind of likes to be with people. Next step, let's just say I just want to walk in the corral. When I walk in the corral, and as I walk in, does the turn and look at me? Mule turn and walk away. Does the turn and look at me and just waits? If it does, then I may step to the right. I never go direct to. I will to the right or to the left, how my corral's built. I'll wait. I'll see if the mule wants to come over here and visit with me without me having to go after it. And I don't allow them to come into my space. And when they're coming toward me, I usually will stop and go to the right, and that would tell them to stay right there, and then I will walk to their shoulder. The next thing, let's just say I'm leading the mule, and the mule follows me pretty honestly and doesn't require a whole lot. That's nice. The mule wants to be with me. The mule recognizes the leadership. When I'm picking up all 4 feet, the mule willingly picks up the feet. The mule willingly likes me to brush and clean them up. The mule willingly stands there nice and quiet without me to have to tie him up. Little things like that make a big difference.
Very good. All right, next question here comes from Rose. Hey, Steve and Dave, I don't know why, but my mule recently has decided not to load in a trailer. I've been riding and camping with Sherry for 5 years. By the way, you have helped me quite a bit, and we've come a long way. We have rode and camped all over Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, Illinois. Just rode with Marty Gordon from Bluegrass Mule event in Shelbyville, Tennessee. I heard you were there. Yep. Sorry I missed that. Any ideas why she's not loading in the trailer all of a sudden? Also, still loving my tack.
Folks, listen, nothing with a mule is all of a sudden. They give you these little subtle things that says, I'm testing you. Are you going to catch me testing you? The nose may have went off to the right. I didn't bump left. People may have hesitated a little bit, and you gave them an extra pull. See things like that. The other thing is, I heard you say halter. Are you leading him with a halter? Folks, come along hitch, come along hitch, come along hitch. Lead him with a come along hitch, put him in the trailer, When they're in the trailer, they willingly let you put the halter on, and then you take the come along hitch off and tie them up. You come along hitch, folks. You never know when they're going to say ain't going to do it, and I've seen the best of them do that. By the way, Dave, I'm using my phone again, and it says it's trying to connect. And right now, I only see you.
I connected it, and then it just goes to being frozen. So I'm not sure what the deal is there.
Anybody else having the problem, or
What's that?
Can anybody else? Do they having the problem, or?
So they'll see. I was looking at it. Mine is coming through just fine. Yours will come through pretty well, and then it'll fuzzy up. And so see how I'll accept you here, and it'll give me one screenshot of you, but then it'll freeze up.
Yeah, I don't know.
So let's see here. I got another question. This one come in from Jay. Says, I'm a question for Ask Steve from an avid podcast listener. I'm an inexperienced rider and an inexperienced mule woman, but I fell in love with a mule. If I've heard it once, I've heard it a million times. I'm one bad life decision away from adopting her. She has sweet ground manners, but the outfitter that has her says she's spooky under the saddle. Does she have hope for ever being ride safe, or is she destined to be a pasture friend and a ground buddy for life?
A spooky animal that's always kind of looing around. I like those kind of mules because I can get up in the mountains and they're paying attention to everything. They can find the cattle quick. They can find game quick. But you got to ride them every minute. So for you beginning with this, I wouldn't bother with it. Listen, it costs just as much, folks, to feed a good one as it does a sorry one. Just think about that. Why have a pasture buddy when you can actually have something you can enjoy? So my suggestion is find a packer, a guide, something like that, like this. He can use it for a pack mule. He's just trying to find a quick way to sell it, maybe. I don't know.
All right, let's see here. Deborah is watching. Grayson says, how many years of experience do you need with horses before you buy your first mule or donkey?
I would prefer to have any experience with horses. Usually horsemen are thinking a little bit different. And I see it time and time again. It's really hard to change a horseman. They're not used to rear cinches being tight. They're not used to seeing a little bit of space on each side of the bit. They're not used to seeing breechings. You can see it with horsemen all over the internet. They're wanting to sell animals. The saddle is sitting on top of the scapula. There's no rear cinch and there's no breeching. Stay away from those people. Stay away from those animals. You don't need them.
Awesome. Marcia just got in. Cold and rainy here in Virginia. Mules are good, though. I am eating a stuffed pumpkin I have not tried just right. I'm eating a stuffed pumpkin I have not tried just right. I didn't even know stuffed pumpkin was a thing. You ever had a stuffed pumpkin, Steve?
Can't say that I have, but I got a buddy of mine, know that he's a mule buddy like a lot of people. And Mackenzie is, I was going to start Mackenzie was showing me some pictures of him and his buddies and the mules, but he showed me something. Oh man, a mountain lion had jumped on his, and you could see the marks all over the brother's back and bite marks, stuff like that. Man. Anyway, Mackenzie's got himself some mules, and he's just loves watching my podcast and videos and stuff like this. But anyway, he just ordered today 2 new saddles. He got a couple of cowboy saddles and some other things. So Mackenzie's on his way. I told him, hey, Mackenzie, I kind of like that riding mules and hunting and stuff. And He said, come on over. I like it. Don't ever tell Steve, come on over here and go hunting. We'll show up at your front.
He will. He will show up at your front door, and if you all say you got barbecue too, Steve will come running, hollering, and this man can eat. Let's see here. Eileen is watching. Cloudy, 34 degrees in Nebraska today. Christy is watching. Nancy is watching from York, Pennsylvania. Rainy and cold here. Let's see. Next question I got. This one has come in from, I'm trying to get the name to come up here, from Glenn. Glenn sent a name in. I recently watched your video with Jim Weatherford and yourself regarding feeding programs. A little background. My wife and I rescued 8 abandoned donkeys. We were trying to do right by them, but they're getting fat. We currently feed a very small quantity, 1/2 cup, just enough to work off of the feed through joint supplement and IGR of cheap dollar in nutritional value, 12.5 protein, 2.5 base fat, and the standard anecdotal Shirley's, etc. I don't know what any of that means. I hope you do, Steve. Along with 10-pound head of good Bermuda hay. I feel that you educated me in donkey nutrition and will be pursuing Lake and Light if I can find it in this area or something similar nutrition from another maker. Now to my question. Should I ease into the transition or just start feeding approximately 7 pounds a day? And how much hay do you think I should give them per day in terms of your pounds per head? I will mention that we previously tried low starch, low protein feed and the donks wouldn't eat it. I hope that the Lake and Light receives better acceptance. What do you have here for Glenn, Steve?
Glenn is no matter what they wouldn't eat. When they get hungry, they'll eat it. Listen, when they get the fat pockets and the founder and this sort of thing gets even worse because of all the extra stuff that they don't need. It's like you and I going into smorgasbord. I mean, we want to try to eat and get our money's worth, by golly, and we overeat. Okay, we do. So guilty. So the best thing to do, them donkeys ain't going to go hunt, ain't going to have, put the feed in there they need to have and go from there. Now, 7 pounds for a miniature donkey, that's a lot of feed. You must be going to have something for them to do. The other thing is, make sure each donkey is in its own stall. That way you can keep an eye on their food intake and their water intake. And then when they get rid of that hay, it's called road apples, you can see how well that looks. That tells folks how healthy a mule and donkey is by looking at road apples and urine. Yes, it does.
Awesome. Let's see here. Moving right along. Naomi is watching. Steve, I'm looking for another mule. How can you tell if a mule has a cracked scapula, i.e. been riding with a horse saddle?
Well, the best thing to do is to tell you that you have to go to the vet, have them x-ray that scapula. Now, you'll have some guys say they can't do it. It can be done. Matter of fact, we've got a note from a veterinarian, for the guy in Texas. They found that little cauliflower looking. It's not always cracks. It can be bangity, end up with just high spot even. But folks, listen, just take one look at the pictures of the mules that you see, especially when they tell you it's a 10 or 12-year-old mule. They've been banged around with stuff. I just had a guy had to put a 4-year-old down because the scapula was cracked, could hardly walk. So yeah, I can tell you some stories, but look at it, have them make sure that they can x-ray that scapula.
All right, Steve, I got one more idea here. Let's try this. What about connecting to the hotspot on your phone? You want to try that?
Sure.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. I've got my hotspot on. Okay. Okay, now I'll turn it on.
Let's see about that.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect.
Yeah, hop back in a second. While Steve's doing that, folks, I don't know if y'all realize this or not, but everything that we've got on YouTube is 100% searchable. Now, I'm going to tell you what to do here, but I'm going to point you back to a video I did about 2 weeks ago. What you need to do, if you've got questions that come up in between these broadcasts, you can go to Steve's YouTube channel. I recommend doing it on a computer. When you go to Steve's YouTube channel, matter of fact, I'll bring it up here and I'll show you. This will be good stuff. Y'all are going to love this here. All right, so we're going to show here. When you go to Steve's YouTube channel, you're going to see right here, there's a magnifying glass. If you don't see the magnifying glass right away, there's a little arrow. Click on that arrow, then click on the magnifying glass, and then type feed. And everything Steve has talked about as it relates to feed is going to show up here in the list. You want to look for purchase. Everything Steve has talked about as it relates to purchase is showing up right here. So that's something that y'all can do. If y'all got questions when in the middle of us meeting, y'all can check that out. Steve, you there?
Yeah, I got Wi-Fi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We'll see if it goes. Is it connected to your hotspot?
Okay, so I got my Wi-Fi off, and I'm going to look for the high spot. I mean, how do I look on here to see if it's...
Y'all, I want to welcome you. This is one of our first episodes of Dave and Steve High Tech, where we answer all of your high-tech questions. Y'all are struggling with your Android? Bring it over here. Y'all got iPhone questions? We are your tech gurus. For $29.95 every month, Steve Edwards will answer your tech calls personally. And then, if he has any problems, he calls me. And then I answer the tech problems. Did you get it there, Steve?
Oh, it says Wi-Fi not connected, and then I'm waiting now, waiting. It wants to, oh, wait a minute, that's my phone connecting. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, and then on your computer, go to select your phone. We'll see if it does that. We'll see if it works that way.
I've got, okay, so right now my Wi-Fi off on my computer. Get network preferences. And it's not finding me.
It should show up in the Wi-Fi toolbar up at the very top where it has that fan.
You know, I don't see that fan up here.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, when I go over here and I hit the next to the Siri, just to the left.
Yeah.
There's a deal that I hit there, and it comes up. It says Wi-Fi, which is off, Bluetooth, which is on.
Oh, you have it hardwired in?
Yes.
That's probably it's still picking up that hardwire. If you disconnect that, then it disconnects the whole thing. Let's see if you can get connected. I'm sorry, folks. I apologize for the issues today. We're doing our best. Heather says, I'm hearing you say keep mules by themselves. Does that mean they should never be turned out together, even if they stall and eat alone? That's correct, Heather. I'll ask Steve to give more insight, but here's the deal. The mules, you want them to see you as the herd leader. And if you turn them out and put them with their buddies, they don't need you for anything. You put them out to pasture, they don't need you for anything. They have everything that they need. And they know that if you come around them, you're going to have them do stuff that they don't want to do, i.e. work, i.e. ride. The thing that the mule wants more than anything else in the world is to be left alone. And so what Steve talks about is keeping them separate by themselves so that you become the herd leader in their eyes. And so if, just like Steve was saying earlier, hey, give them whatever. Eventually they'll get hungry and they'll eat it. If you're having a hard time with them coming to you, well, make it that you're the one that feeds them everything, and they'll start to see you as that leader. And so rather than going out and trying to catch them and them running away from you and getting all these bad habits, you put them in a 10 by 20 stall. You leave them by themselves. They need you for their food. They need you for their water. They need you to clean out their stall. They need you for everything. And they're okay with that. They just want to be left alone. It makes us feel good when they go out. It makes us feel good when we see them playing with their buddies. But they don't need that. If you want to use these animals to ride, drive, pack, then you want them separate, and you want to control how much they eat so you know exactly what nutrition that they're getting. You want them to be in a stall by themselves. They don't need to go out there with their buddies because they're going to get connected to those buddies and not connected to you. So that's a little bit of what we talk about there. There's a whole lot of other benefits to it, but yes, it may sound like, well, they're going to get lonely and they're going to be by themselves. That's not how it works. Functionally, that's how we feel about it, but functionally, that's not how it works. So that's a great question. I appreciate you asking it. We'll see if we can get Steve here for this last little bit, but if you are joining us for the very first time, we are so glad that you're here. I know that for those of you who are watching our tech sketch, we're doing a variety show now, and that was our tech show variety, and so you got to be a part of that little sketch. Just joking. If you are joining us for the first time, usually we don't have this many tech problems, and our friends can tell you that that's the case. But we would love to know that you're here. Put your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather's like in the comment section. We'd love to say hello to you. If you have any mule or donkey questions, be sure and ask them. And then if you would be so great as to share the broadcast with friends and family, that way folks can know exactly what's going on. Folks can know exactly where you're getting your information, and they can get in on the best kept secret in the mule and donkey world. That is that. While we're waiting for Steve to come back, I also want to tell y'all we're hosting an event. Let's see if we got him here. Hey, there you are.
Does that work?
Yeah, it looks good.
I'm going off my phone right now.
Well, it looks good. We'll see if we lose connection here or if it stays connected the whole time. Wouldn't that be?
I just baptized it in the Come Along Coffee.
There you Oh my goodness.
So I baptized this phone in the name of Come Along Coffee and Dave Pengali.
That's fun. That ain't going to do anything for your salvation, but it sure is funny.
Yeah, I'm going to do a thing, but I've saved him, and I got to save you. We're good.
That's good. Okay, all right. Let me hop back over here on YouTube, see if we got any more questions that have come in. Let's see here. Steve, Heather was saying. What's that?
Go ahead.
Heather was saying, I hear you keep
about McKenzie.
I hear you keeping the mules by themselves. Does that mean that they should never be turned out together, even if they eat and stall alone? Now, I was telling her, 10 by 20 pen or 10 by 20 stall, that's what you want to keep them in. You want them to see you as the herd leader. You want to control the amount of food that they get. You want them to see you and need you for everything. Anything else you'd add to that, Steve?
No, I mean, in the very beginning, Dave, when we opened this thing up, what did that client say to us? Here it is. It worked for me. I'm there with my mule, and it worked. Yes, it will work. Listen, folks, when I was at Pierce College in L.A., my students, they wanted to turn the animals loose, and they wanted to let them run and play and enjoy the 4 or 5 days while we were gone for Thanksgiving meal. And so I said, okay, but you're all going to be sorry. You're going to be sorry because you're going to end up with problems. And sure enough, Dave, they'd come back. It took them almost 2 weeks to regain what they had lost. Did you get all that? It looks like we're blurry.
Yeah, we heard it.
Okay. So, yes, let me give you an idea, folks. My wife's mule, 28 years old, she lived for 28 years. She spent 26 years in a 10 by 20 stall. 10 by 20 stall. And my other mules that we had too, Tom and Katie, Shire mules, they spend all their life. They don't need to be out there, folks. It makes us feel good. And we're thinking, they get to run and play and enjoy. No. Folks, you'll end up with saying, doggone it, I'm having problems. Yes, you will. You have to be the herd leader. When they're out there running and playing by themselves and not having you around, they don't need you. They've got their food, their water, and their friends. They don't need you. Now, do I turn out some young mules out into my one desert pasture out here that's full of cactus and rattlesnakes and everything else? Yes, I do. Why do I do that? Just so they get used to the territory before I go out and climb on them and ride out. They get used to sticking their nose on a cactus and going, ouch. they get used to seeing javelina running by and stuff like that. Okay, not that they get used to seeing them all the time, but they start seeing what's going on out there. They've got a good overview. You're never going to desensitize one to get used to it. But yes, I do not put them out in the pasture. They never run and play with any of the other animals. You'll end up with mega problems. Listen to the one lady in the very beginning, Dave. What did she say?
At the very beginning, let's see here. Oh, it was in a. Let me see if I got it here. It was in a comment. While I'm bringing that back up here, Roger is watching from Milan, New York. Let's see here. Naomi has a question. Okay, let me see if I can find that question real quick. It's right here. Steve, I just wanted you to know that if anyone poo-poos your sage advice about keeping your mule in their own stall or paddock away from other equines or goats for that matter, I can testify that it works. I got my Molly this past January, and thank the heavens that I was following you and speaking with you months before that. And with your help, I braved the horse world naysayers about the wisdom of keeping a mule out of herd or pasture situation, and there are a lot of them out there insisting that I was crazy. And my Edie now looks to me as the herd leader. Let me explain. I was out in the corral with her, no equines around, while she was on her sentry duty patrolling the perimeter of her wild New Mexico home. I fed her, and she would take a few bites and then raise her head with ears forward to check her surroundings. I walked about 10 yards in front of her and stared out at the horizon as if I were the lead mare taking over sentry duty. Sure enough, I looked back and her ears were floppy and she was eating calmly without looking up. Success! It's been a long, patient road, but so worth it. Okay, so a question. Okay, so there we go. This Thanksgiving, I have so much to be thankful for. At the top of the list is you, Steve Edwards. There you go.
So hear that, Dave. Listen, she got the mule last January. You see, we're so used to the hocus pocus we see on TV, and there's lots of hocus pocus out there. It's not real life, folks. Real life is what you just heard. I've been doing this all my life, and I've worked with these animals and I've studied them, what makes them tick. I've cowboy with them. They were a tool, okay? But when I learned that they can be pretty darn awesome and will listen to me as a herd leader, kapow, it works.
All right, here, question. Naomi says, is it okay to buy a mule from an outfitter, or do they generally have problems with pedal osteoarthritis?
Well, here's the problem, folks, is nobody that makes money with these animals wants to sell a good animal. Ain't no way. They have to really be hard up to even think about it, because that animal is making them money. It's like me with all of my mules. When I had all my mules, each one of those mules packed freight, pulled wagons, hauled people. Those mules paid for their feed and kept up the payments on the house. Okay. So, don't kid yourself. Why in the world would they want to sell a good one and keep some bad ones? No. Here's the problem, folks. And I'm sorry to say this, but people just don't want to tell the truth. I don't understand it. I just had a guy tell me, and Dave, I hear this on a weekly basis, person after person after person after person. And this guy says, well, I bought a mule from an outfitter, and he said, hey, it's a good mule. If you have any problem at all, don't worry about it. I'll give your money back. Don't bet on it, folks. Ain't going to happen. Just like this guy just learned. He calls him up and said, hey, I got this problem with this mule. And the guy says, hey, just a minute. That mule didn't have that problem. He says, I'm not going to give your money back. What did you do to that mule? You see that? Used it for an excuse. Yes, they do. Just because they tell you they're going to give your money back, or hey, I'll trade you for another mule. Well, how many months, weeks, years is it going to take to finally get to a mule that you're going to be happy with? Or they live clear on the other end of the United States, and you're in Arizona and you're buying one from Tennessee, and hey, if you don't like this one, I'll get you another. Well, how many weeks, months, years does it take to get you another, and then another? That one don't work out, then another. Best thing you can do, folks. Best thing you can do is watch and learn, read books, get education. Get education. Not just my stuff. Go look at other stuff too. All right. Make up your mind. All right. Who is making the most sense to you? Then go with that person and watch them and learn from them. All the old cowboys I learned from, fortunately, they were honest. They had integrity. And honesty and integrity is getting to be a lost art today, folks. And I'm sorry to get on that negative mule there, but it happens. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. Let's see here. Let's see if we can wrap up. Juan Hook is watching from Ontario, Canada. We've gone international. It is -2 degrees Celsius. Wondering how Steve gun breaks mules. It's hunting season here. Cheers.
I don't gun broke mules. I don't believe in it. Have I shot around my mules? Yes. Years ago, I shot a deer off of my horse. Yes, I did. Have I seen guys get bucked off doing that? Yes, I have. Have I seen guys run off? Horses and mules run off after they've been shot around? Yes, and they couldn't catch them? Yes. And have I ever seen one that stayed that way? No. I can tell you time after time after time, people I've talked to said I probably shot 100 squirrels around that mule, and then one day I had to walk home. Yeah. Listen, they're an equine, folks. They don't like loud noises. They put up with it. Okay, they do. They put up with it, but it's only for a short time. Don't go gun breaking these animals. You're going to gun break them. You do this. You tie them to a good solid tree, and with about 3 foot of rope only, wither high, and then go off to the rock and shoot the deer or elk or whatever it may be. But don't try to shoot around them or off of them unless you got them tied hard and fast. And drink come along coffee.
Almost done here. Deborah says, how much weight can a 13-hand rat mule with chicken legs carry? She is now 6 and hot-blooded. I weigh almost 200 pounds due to being on steroids. How much weight can a 13-hand rat mule with chicken legs carry? I've been called worse.
Yeah. Hey, my little 13-2 mule carries my 200 pounds and has for several years on the Andrada Ranch. I roped cattle with them. I rode them. My hunting partner was 245 pounds. He rode a 14-2 mule for almost 15 years. Okay, he did. His name was Pinto Beans. We call him the Beaner. Yep, yeah, I get that one. So
that was the name of your friend?
No, his name was Andy. Was Pinto Beans.
You lofted that one right there, and I had to swing and hit it out.
You had to do that one, yeah. So here's the deal, folks. It's just like you and me. Okay, a little at a time. Exercise them. Get ready to go. Prepare and this sort of thing. I know what it's like. 5 years ago, I was 185 pounds, and then I had my hips replaced. My left hip went septic, and they replaced it 5 times. So did I gain weight? Yes. And I was on the steroids and the other things as well. So I feel for you there, gal. Just ride the mule a little at a time, exercise him a little at a time, and you'll eventually get him up. Listen, just because they're 17 hands high and weigh 2,000 pounds don't mean they can haul you around. It's a matter of you getting them in shape, and you get yourself in shape as well.
Laura says, hi, y'all. Snow on the ground in Missouri, weaning a friend's pony colt 6 months old and doing some groundwork with him. Guess which Queen Valley tool I'm using on this wild little guy? Come along. Juan Hook says, thanks. Marcia says, earplugs too. And that's it. That's our show for today. Everyone, thanks for hanging out and bearing with us with these tech problems. Steve, it got better once you got connected to your Verizon cell phone connection there. It was not as bad. So I don't know what the deal is.
Okay, here's the download 21.2, upload 0.9.
Well, yeah. Is that for your Verizon?
That's on my Verizon cell phone.
Huh. All right. Well, maybe
And
we'll have to.
right now my download is 31.6, and now my upload is 2.48.
Seems like it's flexing. Well, we'll see if we can work out the technical details until our next one. Thank you everyone for hanging out with us. Steve, anything else you want to say before we're done here?
Happy trails to. Oh, okay. No. Hey, listen, folks. Next week, I could use your prayers, and I'm telling everybody about this. My wife at one time had cancer, and so she's going back and going to the doctor on next Tuesday and doing some other stuff early in the morning. So, Dave, it could be a possibility that we may be here. It depends on her. It's supposed to be in and out surgery. It's good. We beat the cancer monster. She's doing great. Has done great for several years now. But just to think about, next week, that's where it's going to be, and don't forget to hug your family.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. We'll be talking to you. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next week, hopefully.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.